Let's talk about Facebook and its continued attempts to pretend that it's not run by demons. The whistleblower Frances Hogan says that she is going to meet with the Facebook Oversight Board in the upcoming days or weeks. Now, the Oversight Board, after they saw her report on 60 Minutes, issued this statement saying, "Oh, we take this very seriously. We didn't know this. We'd like to meet with her." She went on Twitter on Monday and said, "Sure, I'll meet with you. I would love to tell them all of the things that Facebook does not report or lies directly to the Oversight Board." Now, what is the Oversight Board? The Oversight Board...
Now, this is a Facebook Oversight Board.
Is right. And so Facebook says that the Oversight Board runs independently, and they are staffed by lawmakers and academics, and I think even, I'm not sure exactly, sort of... theorists. I don't know. It acts like a policing board, right, in order to police Facebook's moves and decisions. For instance, when Facebook booted former President Trump, that decision went to the Facebook Oversight Board, and the Facebook Oversight Board said, yes, we agree with that decision. You don't have to reinstate. Or did they reinstate him? Anyway, that decision went to the board. I'm blanking on what the actual...
I don't know.
I don't think they made any changes. So my problem with this, like, oh yes, we want to talk about this. We definitely are going to do something about it is, or else what? And then what, right? Because it's a board to be independent of Facebook, set up by Facebook, that has not made any decisions to change the behavior or policy of Facebook. But now all of a sudden, because there is this public whistleblower, we are supposed to think that they will...
They're not going to change anything.
Do anything more than a hand slap?
No, this whole thing is just political theater, and it's all just a PR move for them to set up we're going to set up an oversight board.
It's like our kids telling us, like, oh, Miles is putting us to bed tonight, right? The oldest one's in charge while we're here. Like,
right.
No, you need someone who's actually in charge. And this is their way of saying, we don't need Congress. We got our own.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to start my own oversight board that's going to stop me when I go down to the refrigerator from grabbing chocolate out of there, right? But I'm going to be my own board. So I'm going to go down there. I'm going to decide, well, you know what? It's not that bad. I'm going to get it anyway.
Or I'm going to drive around with my own oversight police. And then if the police want to pull me over and give me a ticket for a traffic violation, I'll say, oh, no, you don't get to because I've got my own private police.
Right.
So,
well, that's how like the federal government gets off by saying that, oh, well, we have our own intelligence services. They are the ones that told us. So we checked with them. I know it's not public. You can't check with them. But, you know, we got this oversight board. We've got this intelligence service. So we get to pawn these things off. Right. Facebook, it's just a PR move for Facebook right now because they're reeling. But what I'm troubled by in this whole Facebook drama is that, you know, Congress is sort of stepping in and using Facebook as the example. When, first of all, Facebook is dying. As a percentage of users among young people, it's plummeted tremendously. Not to mention that you've got like TikTok, which is not even mentioned by Congress. And you've got so they're just zeroing in on Facebook. They're just zeroing in on this one company. And they're not looking at all of these other platforms. And I sort of think about like the early, remember, was it Tipper Gore? Back in the day,
yes.
She tried to go after and censor like
Murphy Brown
rap music.
And
was it Murphy Brown?
She did say something about Murphy Brown.
I think you're right about that. There was, I don't know, but she tried to go after rap music and wanted to censor.
Yes, indeed, she did.
Wanted to censor different CDs and so forth as explicit, and wanted to keep this stuff off because it was destroying our young people.
Yes.
Right? And then it was like we got to get rid of video games because it's killing our young people. And then people had trouble with magazines. Remember, like, trouble with magazines.
But what are you saying? You're defending the medium? Is that what you're saying? Because Facebook has actually made demonic moves that...
Well, how do they make it demonic? I mean, they definitely spread misinformation. But,
yes.
But is it Congress's job to step in and censor this company? I mean, I think Facebook is deplorable. So then don't read it, right? I mean, but Facebook spreading misinformation.
Yes, but they insert
money
themselves into certain communication. For instance, when they bought WhatsApp, they said, we are definitely not going to take any of this data for our own use. We are not going to share any of your privacy. And then they walked that back, and they actually do that. Now, it's still mostly for business users, but still, they don't keep their word. They did the same with Instagram.
So then don't use their services. But is this Congress's... All I'm saying is I think they're a deplorable company, right? right? Absolutely. And I think the people that work there are part of this culture that Mark Zuckerberg has created, which is deplorable.
But then this speaks to a different argument: is it the government's job to protect people from themselves? And so if Facebook is, as Frances Hogan is saying, if the algorithm brings the more controversial posts higher up in your feed to keep you engaged for longer, and if they know that if they turn off certain filters so that you only see basically what you think you're seeing, which is like catching up with friends and family, people spend less time on the platform. They know that. They've made decisions that. And so, okay, why then do we have any, laws and regulations around drugs, around alcohol consumption, around anything, right? Like, you can say that this is something that is causing addiction, that is causing breaking apart a social fabric.
You're asking like three questions there. Let me answer. So I think, well, first of all, around alcohol and, getting behind the wheel of a car, it's not about you, it's about hurting other people. Okay, that number one. So I don't think there's no law about how much you can drink in your home, right? So if you want to go on Facebook and read all kinds of weird QAnon conspiracies and Trump conspiracies,
but then
that's
people
you.
do die. The January 6th rallies are a result of that.
Yes, there was definitely a lot of information on Facebook about the January 6th insurrection. So I get it's a good question. What is Congress's responsibility here? Is it Congress's responsibility to start to censor or to make demands of these companies that they're going to put in a certain amount of non-misinformation stories? And who's to judge? Like, Congress is going to tell these media companies, like Facebook is a media company. It's almost like
right.
Microsoft.
You must be well-intentioned. Well, okay, Microsoft was. Yes, same. Most tech companies are not well intentioned.
And are they really going to, hold them accountable when we subsidize those companies? You know what I mean? Like, they're going to spend money to fight these companies and regulate them, yet they subsidize them?
Subsidize them, and as we pointed out last week, almost every person on that committee makes money from Facebook. Almost every member, every senator, except for what's his name? Ed Markey, took donations from Facebook. So, Marsha Blackburn is sitting there and she says, all you gotta do is follow the money. And she's gotten money from Facebook. It's hilarious. So
they use Facebook to raise money as well.
They run ads. They use Facebook to do campaign ads. They raise money through Facebook. And then they also are taking donations from Facebook. To me, it's all just political theater. I just think it's a joke. Are you going to start marching all of these? You're going to start bringing TikTok executives through. There's plenty of misinformation on TikTok. There's plenty of deep fakes. And
there's misinformation in fakes? Because the thing is, like, when does it stop? If you start misinformation on these social platforms, there's misinformation at family dinners. Like, where is it going to stop? You know what I mean?
There's a lot of misinformation at family dinners, by
exactly. The way. So it's like, at a certain point, you got to realize that if you start to regulate these things, then where does it stop? Because it's going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper until it's like, then you can't say anything. Because we're already seeing this on YouTube. We can't say medical terms. There are medical terms we cannot say because we might be spreading misinformation. And so it just, all this does is open the door for it to be even more. And that's the thing, like, that's the dangerous part of it. Yeah, I think there are things that are bad about social media for sure. But once they start regulating it and once they start stopping things, then we're basically looking at China. I mean, it's the same thing they do over there, and we complain about it. We're America, we have freedom of speech, but that's going to get less and less and less on these platforms if we allow it to continue.
So then us as Facebook users, then it's incumbent upon us to watch, for instance, this 60 Minutes piece and say, wow, this company is making decisions that are not in my best interest. I will then regulate my own use of this platform, right? And in fact, on my running group, I went to my running group on our WhatsApp chat, and I was like, you guys, this is some bad stuff. Should we switch over to Signal? And it was like crickets, because we're used to it. We want to, like, no, we already have the group here. No one's gonna start the group somewhere else. Yeah, on WhatsApp. And so I was like, okay, we're not gonna be activists. And so I agree with you. It's as an individual, we need to make these choices. I don't think the answer is do nothing. Like have Congress do nothing. Nobody, I don't know where we draw that line, but I think there needs to be some line.
Let us know in the chat what you think about this. Should Congress step in and, I don't know, regulate Facebook, censor Facebook? And then to me, where does it stop? Let us know. Let us know in the chat.
But we
I
shouldn't
think
think, oh, the oversight board's got it.
Well, I think that it starts with parents, because I think parents have gotten lazy, and it's like, hey, just give the kid the phone and let them sit in front of social media and go make their TikToks or whatever. And there's no like educating them from the beginning that social media, how dangerous it is, and how, it can suck up their time or whatever. So I think that, parents need to start taking a more action with their kids and keeping them off of it more than letting Congress do it, because Congress, like everything, when the government takes over, it gets more expensive and the quality goes down. So we can't, we really think that they're going to do a good job of taking our money and spending it to regulate these platforms. There's no way.
Yeah, I just think anytime Congress touches anything, or the U.S. government touches anything, it ends up becoming a problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, we all have to have some personal responsibility, I think, when it comes to some of these platforms. So let us know in the chat what you think about it. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.